Alright, what's up everyone? I'm Jonathan Sriranganathan, Greens candidate for Mayor of Brisbane. With me is...
I'm Amy MacMahon, I'm the state member for South Brisbane.
And we're in the Greens campaign office down at Stones Corner, and we thought we'd have a bit of an impromptu chat about the Olympics, because obviously the Greens have been pushing back for a while against some big concerns we have about the Gabba stadium proposal, but there are also broader questions about the Olympics more generally. Amy, do you want to kind of bring people up to speed really quickly on what's happened with the Gabba over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so back in 2021, the state government announced that the Gabba Stadium was going to be the main stadium for the Olympics. And to do that, it was going to come at the cost of East Brisbane State School, and Raymond Park down the road would be turned into a warm-up track. And the whole thing was going to cost $2.7 billion. And off the back of a huge community campaign with parents from the school and community members and residents around the park, putting a lot of pressure on the government, late last year, the new Premier announced that they would be doing a 60-day review of all major Olympics venues, including the Gabba. And so that review will be...
and that was a big win for us, right?
Yeah,
yes, awesome.
Yes, but, definitely. Yeah, I think for a long time, the Labor government had been big proponents saying this is going to be amazing for the area, this is going to transform Wollongabba, while the local community was going, you are going to tear this community apart if you leave us without a school and without a park and with billions of dollars of public money going into this single project. So it's definitely a big win for the government to now concede that maybe there's problems with this project. It's not a done deal yet. That review will come back on the 18th of March, conveniently just after the council election.
Yeah, so this is really annoying, right? You would think that the government would conduct this review before the council election and say, okay, here's the new proposal, so that voters could then make an informed decision going into the council election. Like, I'm really annoyed because Labor is essentially sitting on the fence, and when you ask, say, the Labor mayoral candidate, do you support Olympics at the Gabba? Do you support East Brisbane State School being shut down? They're like, oh, we'll wait and see what the review says. Like, that's not a healthy, transparent democracy. It's like voters are literally going to go to the polls, and then 2 days after the election, the government's going to tell us its position. So, and by the way, the review is being run by former Liberal Mayor Graham Quirk. So I don't actually think it's independent to begin with. But Amy, you were saying that we don't really need a review to tell us that the Gabba should be scrapped, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, this community have been saying for nearly 3 years now, this is too expensive, it comes at the cost of a local school and a park. We know that it's going to cause traffic chaos in the area if it goes ahead, for essentially a big white elephant project, because the whole idea behind the demolition is to fit an athletics track into what in the long term will be a cricket grounds and an AFL grounds. So we really don't need that. We've been suggesting a whole range of alternatives for where athletics for the Olympics could be held. Actually, the International Olympics Committee suggested Carrara Stadium at the Gold Coast, which hosted the athletics for the Commonwealth Games in 2018, has space for a warm-up track. The mayor of the Gold Coast has said it could easily come up to scratch. The people who run Carrara Stadium have said that that's possible too. We've also been suggesting the QSAC Stadium out at Nathan, which I think hosted the Commonwealth Games in like
back in the
1980 or something like that. Has space for a warm-up track. Would need a fair amount of work and would need some investment in public transport, but also a pretty viable alternative.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to think about with stadium locations. It's not just about, is there a stadium somewhere? It's, does it have public transport to service tens of thousands of people coming and going? Then there's also the question of, does it have space for warm-up track? And then it also, according to the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, the stadium needs to be within a reasonable distance of the main athlete village. And right now, the government's proposal is to chuck the athlete village at Hamilton. Annoyingly, you would think that after the Olympics is over, the athlete village would become public housing. But no, they're kind of doing this deal with private developers. So we won't get any public housing out of the Hamilton athlete village proposal. But if the athlete village is at Hamilton, you kind of, the IOC doesn't want athletes to have to commute more than like 20 minutes before their event. So if they did move the main stadium down to the Gold Coast, they would probably have to reconsider the location of the athlete village or have a second athlete village down at the Gold Coast. And that's one of the challenges with the Carrara Stadium. Similarly, Nathan, the Cusack Stadium is also a fair distance from the current athlete village. So there might be an argument of needing to build a new athlete village somewhere on the south side, which could also turn into public housing. But the main challenge with Nathan is, the public transport. So if we went with Nathan, you'd basically be almost rebuilding the current stadium and spending a lot of money on public transport. Personally, I'd rather spend a lot more money building new public transport connections to Nathan, because there's a university campus, there's a hospital down there. I'd rather spend that money on public transport than the $3 billion they're going to drop on demolishing and rebuilding the Gabba and shutting down a state school. But there's also been a few other options floating around, like building a new stadium somewhere around the inner north side, closer to the athlete village. There's sites at Eagle Farm, there's sites at Hendra that could accommodate a new stadium and a track, but there's that kind of balancing question of, do we really want to spend billions of dollars building a new stadium? And I think this sort of connects to one of the broader critiques you have of the Olympics more generally, Amy, is that we spend a lot of money on these events, but the benefits don't necessarily flow through to the local community. Hey.
Yeah, most of the research shows that host cities actually don't make money from the Olympics.
Right.
It's a money-losing venture. A lot of host governments and host cities will say this is going to be a big economic boost for our city, and that's simply not the case. It's a lot of public money that's flowing into infrastructure and running the event, and the local community doesn't see much of that economic benefit, except in a very narrow few cases. There's also an argument around more tourism, but actually in a lot of cases what you find is a lot of people who would otherwise visit stay away, and the Olympics tourists just replace them. It's called the substitution effect. Right. And so, actually in some Olympic cities like London, tourism went down during their Olympics. And so this argument that, we're going to get this big tourism boost really isn't backed up by the evidence. One of the considerations for this review now is cost, and those cities that have done well out of the Olympics are the ones that have spent the least on new infrastructure. Right, and we're meant to be, using existing venues where possible and being creative about where we host things. There's the options of hosting some events overseas if that's going to be more cost effective. But this is already going to be billions and billions of dollars. The current Olympic budget is $7 billion. Every Olympic Games since the 1960s has run over budget. We've been calling on the government to put a hard cap on the amount of money that they put into the Olympics, because this ends up being a kind of black box where they're just throwing money in because you've got a limited time frame. And that's why most Olympic Games run over budget.
And there's all these subsidiary concerns in terms of like the impacts on, say, the housing market, for example. Like we've seen in lots of host cities, local residents end up getting displaced as housing is converted into short-term accommodation. So landlords kick out long-term tenants, switch over to Airbnb, and then afterwards they don't switch back. So those homes then stay as short-term rentals on an ongoing basis. So there's this big displacement, particularly of lower income renters, as housing is converted into de facto hotel rooms. And of course there's all these environmental impacts to consider as well, but also like the kind of loss of sovereignty, which we won't have time to talk about too much, but like the IOC basically dictates to the council and the state government, says this is how it's got to be, and the governments just have to listen. Like Tokyo was hosting the Olympics during the COVID pandemic, and they kind of wanted to cancel the Olympics, and the IOC was like, nope, you have to go ahead with the Olympics despite the global pandemic. And it was wild to see how little power like sovereign nations had, even despite something as severe as that. But
this government also hasn't published the Olympics contract. They've published a handful of documents, but the full Olympics contract has never been made public. So we actually don't know what this Labor government has signed us up to, what sort of deals they've locked us into. That's all been kept secret.
So for those who are interested, I, in my mayoral campaign, have just started a small survey asking people what they think about kind of the current venue options that are on the table for the athletics stadium. There's sort of a question there about whether you think we should go with Nathan or Carrara or find some other new location, or whether you actually support it staying at the Gabba. And I'm also asking a question about whether Brisbane should be thinking about backing out of the Olympics altogether, because I want to know what people think. It's not up to me and Amy to make this decision. It should be up to everyone in Brisbane to have a bit of a say about the future of our city. But these are important questions to be grappling with, and it just really sucks that we're not going to have any answers from the state government until after the council election.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. And, holding those council candidates to account to say, do you support the Gabba Stadium or not, I think will be really important over the next few weeks.
Yeah. Thanks for the chat, Amy.
Cheers.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dono.